Welcome to the RS2G podcast, where I motivate, inspire listeners by discussing failures, success, and the journey of a rebirth. If you're someone who wants to hear the honest truth from a host that puts his right hand to God, as I interview people who have built empires and sometimes watch them crumble as their lives have taken an unexpected twists and turns, this podcast is for you. Life is not always easy. And as a combat military veteran, active military for 14 years, I know about sacrifice and facing fears and true loyalty. I can't wait to take you on this rebirth journey with myself and my guests as we discuss life and living with your right hand to God. Boom. Welcome to the RS2G podcast. And, I'm very grateful to have my pastor as my guest today. I've been watching him for a long time, and I wanted to introduce the world to him. He's introduced before. He's known as Pastor Tommy to us, but to everybody else, he's Urban D. And I wanted to just, get in his mind frame and talk about the business intellect that he has and why he do what he do for the community and who he is. So thank you guys for just bringing Pastor Tommy on. Tommy, can you tell us about yourself, man?
What's up, man?
Man. Thank you, man.
It's good to have you.
Good to have you.
Good to be here, to be had.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for coming on, man. Can you tell us about your upbringing and who you are?
Yeah, well, I originally grew up in Philly.
Okay.
And grew up in an urban environment, but at the same time, I grew up in the church.
Okay.
I did. I was a church boy. I had to be. My dad was the pastor.
Right.
Like you, bro.
Yeah, we shared that. Yeah,
as well, man.
PK kids.
Yes, pastor's kid, if you don't know what the PK acronym is. But as I became a teenager, man, I had one foot in the church because I had to go one foot in the streets.
Right.
And the streets were drawing me in, and it was two different worlds. And so for a season there, man, I was really rebellious.
Right.
But God still kept his hand on my life. I was out there, but I never got too far out there.
Right.
And got too crazy. Even though I was doing some illegal things, thank God I never got arrested.
Right.
God always kind of kept me. But when I was 18 going on 19, I really recommitted my life to God and was searching to find the purpose and the plan he had for my life. And it was in ministry, man. And I was running from it, man. And still, even in the beginning, I was like, it's not going to be like my dad. I'm going to do youth ministry. I'm going to be a youth pastor. And so I did that for the first several years. Yeah. And then eventually I got pushed into being the lead pastor. I was very reluctant to even take that title. But yeah, man, it's been an incredible journey. I think the cool thing is that I've had freedom to be myself.
Right.
I meet a lot of pastors, even a lot of people in ministry sometimes, and they have a lot of people at their church or around them that expect the pastor to act a certain way or look a certain way or dress a certain way. And thank God, we never had that at Crossover. It was a startup, and I was there from the beginning. So I got to help really kind of set the tone and the atmosphere and the vibe. And so, I've always been able to be myself and be me.
Right.
A preacher that raps, a preacher that wears sneakers, that regularly wears a hat.
Right.
That is able to, kind of reflect the background I have, the neutral things of the culture I grew up in, and to attract people like you.
Right,
that maybe wouldn't fit in. You went to the traditional church and you're like, but you came in the Crossover and you were like, yo, I could be myself here. There's people here that look like me.
And I was talking to my father too, because as PKs, we are raised in the churches and we see the outlook as our parents see it.
Yeah.
And, our as a PK, it's kind of hard for the kids to grow up and not understand right from wrong. Certain kids have a break where they'll get a smack on the hand like it's okay. But us growing up, we knew once my dad took that oath and got saved, we knew right from wrong.
Yeah.
And understanding it. And I never wanted to go outside of his doctrine, right? So my father or my grandfather or people I knew. I've been in Tampa since 2018. I never had a church home. Mm-hmm. So when I came to Crossover and I came again and I watched, I was like, this is the church for me because I could be accepted and I don't have to be nobody else but JR. Yeah. And I thank you for that because I think I said it to you. I watch people get up on the stage and they talk or ministry, but then I see them do other things in their life. And I watch you speak every Sunday And then I see your life, and I'm like, that's it right there. He's still himself. He's not trying to, as we say, cap. You are who you are, and and it attracts people like myself as a preacher's son. But also, if I never told you who I was, would you think I was a preacher's kid? But you caught my attention. I appreciate that. Did you name the church Crossover, or it was already that?
It actually already was that.
Okay.
I mean, it started just a couple of years before I came.
Okay.
In the late '90s. And so the founding pastor, he was only there for 2 more years when I first came.
Right.
So he was only there a total, like, I think, 7 years?
Right.
I've been there like 28.
Wow.
So, but still, like, we give him his flowers and honor him. He's in his 70s now.
Okay.
He came back and spoke 2 years ago on my 25-year anniversary of being at the church. And so, but he's the one that came up with the title, and he really kind of came up with it from really like, he's an artist as well. He did music. And so there was like a term of like, if you're a Christian artist and you know, your music starts getting played in the mainstream and you start doing mainstream stuff, they call that a crossover artist. And so he's like, I want to cross over, but I want to take the crossover. Because a lot of times when a Christian artist begins to cross over to mainstream, they don't take the crossover.
Man, can you say that again?
Yeah, the message kind of gets a little bit like watered down. They ain't really talking about God anymore. And so he's like, man, we want to take the cross over to the streets. We want to take the cross over to the culture.
Right.
And so when I came and started the youth ministry, we just took that mantra and we were like, man, crossover, we're taking the crossover to the hip hop culture.
Right.
You know, and so, yeah.
I'm glad that you validated that, because what he did and then what inspired you inspired me. So right now, me transitioning from security to speaking, I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I want to be allowed to be that in that space. And I want to tell the kids that the way you explained that name is how I try to explain myself, which I shouldn't, to business executives or people who don't understand. If you guys don't know, like, I'm JR, but my alter ego in the speaking is the Hood Motivator. And all I'm doing is taking my education and my love for God into the hood and understanding that you can be who you are, but it confuses the masses because they got a negative outlook on the hood, but not knowing that you can take who you are, because I grew up like that, so I cannot not talk about that situation. But what I can do is inspire from that, just like you grew from that.
Yeah.
And I love that, because that's how I feel. And you validating how I feel, because sometimes I have to argue them statements of they don't want you to speak because you're the Hood Motivator. And I know that you traveled around the world in a lot of churches, and I'm not going to call the names of the churches out, didn't probably accept who you was at the beginning, and probably still don't.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot in the beginning that were like, what is that? What are they doing? Is that real? Like, you know, he don't look like a pastor.
Right.
You know, and even back, 20 years ago, I was braided up.
Right. I saw that. You like John B.
Yeah. I mean, I did the braids recently on the top. I got some hair on the top again. But I mean, braids were like back 20 years ago, it was popular.
Right.
And I had the whole thing on the sides and everything done. It was like down to here. And that was my look. And I was a rapper doing Christian rap. I was signed to a national label. And so I was regularly traveling around doing concerts, doing shows, doing outreaches, doing events. And yeah, there was a crowd that embraced it, loved it, brought me out to do things. But then there was always people on the side like, hey, that guy, he ain't no pastor.
Right.
He don't look like a pastor. He's just an entertainer.
Right.
They didn't take me serious. Right. But then when they began to see the church really grow and explode in growth, and then especially 13 years ago when we moved from our previous location, which was a small building back in the middle of a neighborhood, back in the cut, to the building we're in now, we took over a retail box, a 43,000 square foot Toys R Us store, and retrofitted it. And it's a big facility,
nice.
300 parking spaces on a main street. Then like suddenly everybody was like, they real. Oh, wait a minute. Like the building almost like validated us, because people would have never thought a church like ours could grow to that size and be able to do something like that and be able to have the impact that we do. But I think the church as a whole many times is always 10, 20 years behind, and realizing like, hip hop music is one of the tools we use at the church, and
Right.
we're not a hip hop church. We don't like that term
Right.
because that creates a weird stereotype, and
Right.
people have all kinds of questions. We're a church,
Right.
a biblical New Testament church in the 21st century in the urban context. So yeah, we use hip hop. We use R&B though. We use gospel style music, some reggae sometimes, some Spanish, some EDM. It's eclectic, it's urban,
Right.
it's rhythmic, it's creative. But a lot of people thought, oh man, that can't work out. Like, no one's gonna take that serious.
Right.
But like hip hop's been around 50 years.
Right.
We
Why not?
celebrated 50 this year. So
Right.
there's people that are much older that are still into that culture and feel like they can't connect at the traditional church.
Exactly.
And so, but they connect at a spot like ours. And you come and you see the crowd is super diverse,
Right.
multi-ethnic, multi-generational, multi-class. So we got people from all different backgrounds and demographics coming and connecting. And we love everybody. We accept everybody. We don't judge them by the way they look or they
Right.
dress. It doesn't mean we approve
Right.
of the way everybody's living,
Right.
but we let the Holy Spirit work on them.
Right.
We're going to love them and accept them, and God's going to begin to change them, and we're there to walk with them through that journey.
I remember going to church when I was small, and when I started going to church, we would go to church all day. We would go from
yeah, man.
Sunday school to night church, and then we have revivals for 7 days, and then we have HYPU, and it'd just be an all day thing. And
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't understand, and I would think that as a kid growing up in the church, some of the pastor's messages would be directed towards. I felt like it was like, oh, how did you see me? But when you talk and I hear you relay your messages, you're talking to the masses though. Like you hitting on current events, you hitting on situations that matter, reality, and you're not making nobody feel left out. And I appreciate you because
thank you, man.
like I'm very like I do certain things like this on a platform, but I'm an introvert, and that I don't know if you felt that about me. That's my energy. Like I like to play the back and watch until it's time for my name to show up, and then I do what I got to do. But like when I go to church, I'm not seen, and I love it because I get to hear and pay attention. It's not no fashion show, or it's not no political or Christian certain event that I need to be aware of. I just show up, get what I need from the message, and then, say my hello to everybody I need to say hello to, network with, and I'm comfortable, and I get to go home because I got the word.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah.
waste my time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I appreciate you because I come for the knowledge. I come for the reading. I come for the word, and I come for the good energy. And you always, no matter.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
I could call you in the morning, and you could call you in the midnight. You got the same energy, and we appreciate that because that's what we need. We need our pastors to be fearless, and you're fearless, man. And you have an entrepreneur spirit. And my podcast talks about a lot of business intellect. And I heard you say that you moved to a 43,000 square foot building.
Yeah.
What made you do that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we were running out of space at our old spot. We only had 200 seats in this small building with a low ceiling. Everybody was packed in like sardines, and we had to move to do 2 services every Sunday, and then we filled that up. Then we moved to 3 services. Then we had also put an overflow room in that was outside under a patio with a screen out there and like 80 more chairs. We were trying to be creative and just maximize that space as much as we could, and we customized. It was really dope. But so we moved. The big thing was out of necessity.
Right.
Like we were just bursting at the seams, and we were creating a lot of noise and traffic in the neighborhood because we're in the middle of a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so God really kind of put in my heart to move to a space that was on a main street, that was easy to find, had plenty of parking, and we wouldn't bother the neighbors because it would all be like businesses. And really, man, this part too, I wanted to be in a building that didn't look like a traditional church because I knew the audience that God was calling us to were people that were unchurched or de-churched, like you. You were de-churched. You used to go to church, but you're kind of like, but, so to be in a building that doesn't look like a traditional church for a lot of people could walk in, and it pulls some barriers down.
Right. There
And it even brings curiosity and oh man. And now the way that we have the building, we continue to customize it. We have all these murals on, like dope. There's a mural on the front, but part of the front building right where you walk in. And then the rest of the building has this like stripe on it, like real artistic. And now the west side of our building, 315 feet, 20 feet high, is all beautiful murals. And so, people that are into art are just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Now we're building a coffee shop in our lobby right now. And I got a meeting today, this week coming up with some of our artists in the church that we're going to help design the interior now with all kinds of art.
Wow.
And just, walls that look super dope, like this place looks. And, we want to make it a vibe so people walk into that coffee shop 7 days a week and are like, yo, this is a church too?
Look at that.
I got to come check this out.
And that's all part of your business plan.
Yeah.
And location matters.
It does.
And
location.
I tell people, Walmart did that. Walmart, if people don't know, like the Walton family and the Walmart, how they did their Walmarts, they put them closer to the highway so people could come out and shop. That's how Walmarts started to develop. And if you don't know business, then you need to go read the book about Sam Walton and Walmart and what he did for location. And it matters. So I heard you say was that you moved the location, then it didn't look like a church. So, okay, you're going to bring me in the parking lot, try fried rice, and then you're going to, you know what I'm saying? You're going to sell them a plate. And then you got 300 parking spots. When I went there, I was amazed. I've been to several churches. I've been to hundreds since I was a little boy to now. And coming there and being welcome. And I brought my niece and my nephew, and they had the daycare. They got the basketball courts. My first time to crossover, even though I passed it several times, was for entrepreneur events.
And that was in the gym.
That's in the gym.
I remember meeting you, man. We sat next to each other too, definitely. Man.
And Pastor Tommy didn't know me, but he acted like he met me a long time ago, and that made me feel very comfortable because I wasn't an outsider, and y'all took me in and had what I heard to say and heard my story, and I appreciate it because I was going through a rough time. And March 3rd of 2022, I'm almost committed suicide. And not because of selfishness. I've been through a lot of situations in my life. My mother passing, but I served my country and I was injured. And I went through a lot of situations. I deployed 3 times to Iraq and 1 time to Afghanistan, and I got injured. And I contemplated a lot of suicide then. And when I went bankrupt with my company, God had me go work as a janitor in the gym for a while just to humble myself. And say, hey, JR, you went a long way with your company, but you went the wrong way. And then had X testify to me in the gym and brought me to you. And then last month, you baptized me. Yeah. And that gets me emotional because I have a father that's a preacher. So ain't nobody baptizing me. You know what I'm saying? You understand? Like I stand strong for my father.
It's an honor.
But when I told my father I wanted Tommy to baptize me, you know what my dad said? There it is. He approved. He met you. We came to the hip hop fest and around the corner from my house in California.
Long Beach.
Long Beach. We came and my father came out and supported Pastor Tommy, and that was my first time to the Flavor Fest.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I'm like, this is where I need to be at. I'm no entertainer, but I'm a speaker. And Pastor Tommy will tell you, every now and then I come tell him, hey, I want to speak. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I know that you as a businessman, you hear a lot of people, hey, try my mixtape out. Try my mixtape out. But I'm here to say that I'm following everything that you're putting down with the religion and with business. And I don't follow anybody because I've been with a lot of good leaders. Yeah. So I appreciate you again for just reaching my soul and my spirit and having me say not give up and putting me in the right places where I need to be at. And I could tell you one thing about you, Pastor Tommy, like you're no drama. Like you don't get involved. You might hear stories, but you ain't gonna call like, oh, I heard, or like, and I appreciate that because a lot of churches do that. And I don't like it because I'm really a fallback type of person. And when I hear my name slandered in certain situations, like I'm not gonna run and cry about it, but I do wonder what people think, but I also wonder like God put me here for a reason. Like I know you pray for me. I know when I come there, you give me your undivided, like you would stop your conversations and talk to me. And I'm like, I'm not nobody, but you around, it makes me feel like I am somebody. And I appreciate you. No, not like that because you have a lot of people around me. Yeah. And a lot of people are asking Pastor Tommy for help. And when I show up, I don't care. I don't think there has not been a person I have came and stood in line. Oh no, come here, come do this. Here, this is JR. And I appreciate you because you always bring me a part of what you got going on. So I appreciate it. Yeah. Can you tell the world about your entrepreneurship spirit and who gave you that and where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, man, I really became an entrepreneur out of necessity, I could say, because, you know, growing up in Philly,
Right.
growing up as a PK,
Right.
and my dad's church was not, you know, a big church. And I mean, we were barely getting by.
Right.
We were low income. And so by the time I was in elementary school, you know, I was wearing some Bobos. And all the kids started dogging me.
Right.
Right? Like, you got Bobos. I'm like, these ain't Bobos. They just ain't got no name.
Right.
And then I learned that's what Bobos are.
Right.
Shoes with no name.
No name.
Right? And so I came home and I was like, Mom, I got to get some Nikes. And it's like, well, let's talk to your dad when he gets home. I don't know how much they cost.
Right.
And, you know, when I told my dad how much they were going to cost, like back, this is way back in the day, bro.
Right.
Like $35.
Yeah.
For a pair of low top Nike Cortez,
Cortez,
right?
yeah.
And so he was just laughing, like, we can't afford that.
Right.
You know, with these Kmart sneakers I get you they're the same thing, you know. And so, you know, I had to figure it out. That's what he told me. He said, we can't afford that. You got to figure it out. You got to save up. And I was 10 years old. So I started my first business, Tommy's Lawn Service.
Right.
And so, you know, I took our old lawnmower, went down the block, started knocking on doors. Hey, you know, can I cut your grass?
Right.
And nobody had big yards, but,
Right.
you know, I cut your grass, $5, $3, you know. And within a couple of weeks, man, I saved up the money. I was able to get my own pair of shoes on my own. And that was the main goal of the business at first, was sneaker money.
How old were you?
So I was 10 years old, man.
Yeah, so we're gonna stop the tape and let everybody know the kids. He was 10 years old when he started his first business unawarely as an entrepreneur, and no wonder you're here where you at right now.
Yeah.
because your hands is in everything.
Yeah.
and that's dope.
And I'm grateful, man, that I didn't grow up having everything I needed, because it pushed me.
Right.
And once I discovered I could make money, I got hooked on it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And so from there until the time I was 14, I was doing odd jobs all the time, shoveling snow, raking leaves, pulling weeds, cutting grass, like all kinds of little things.
Right.
Then when I got a little older, there were some people in my church that started to employ me. I was cleaning doctor's offices. I was laying carpet. I was, you know, then I worked at McDonald's for a little bit, quickly found out that's not for me. Then, you know, I worked retail for a while. I mean, by the time, but between me being 10 and 20 years old, I counted it up, man. I had over 20 jobs that I had worked in 20 different kinds of experiences.
From what age to what age?
10 to 20 years old, I had about 20 different jobs. And many times I'd have 2 or 3 at the same time. And I mean, I joked about this during the series that we did on my new book at Crossover last month. Because we had a week called Reps, replicas, you know, bootlegs, and about how a lot of shoes are that. And, you know, when I was 18, man, I was selling Rolexes. That was one of my side hustles.
Right.
You know,
Selling real Rolexes?
they weren't real, brother.
Okay. I'm about
you know,
to say,
they were like $40, $50, and I was making like $20 off of a sale. And, you know, back then that was good money. I mean, minimum wage was like $5 or something, you know? So I'm like, I can make $20 off one sale profit. Let's go.
Let's go.
You know, so, but yeah, man, I always have my hands in a lot of different things. And I think as that translated to today, and me being in ministry, urban ministry in particular, ministry's hard, period. You know, but when you put that in the urban context and you're ministering to a lot of people that don't have as much resources, they're not able to contribute. They're just there to consume.
Right.
They got a need. They need, you know, and it can make it extra challenging. So where do you get the funds to be able to do ministry when you're in a context like that? And I knew that's where God called me. So that creativity as an entrepreneur and as an artist, I was able to, you know, always figure things out and build a team around me. Our staff is all very entrepreneurial, very innovative, very frugal. We get a lot of stuff donated. We partner with people. We network. We've created other streams of income at the church.
Wow.
And we do have we are a nonprofit, but we even have a separate nonprofit called Love Our City that we're able to get some different grants and funding in strategically. Not every foundation or donor will give to a church, but they might give to a nonprofit that's not connected as like a religious organization, even though we control it. And you know, so we've been very creative, man, to be able to, you know, make a really big impact. And you know, we look like we're like way up here, and we're doing good. But what we do it for is way less than what a typical ministry might, just because we've been so creative and entrepreneurial with a lot of things. And we're building the coffee shop at the church because first of all, it's going to create jobs for people in the community. We're going to hire some people that are even, coming out of jail, people that most people wouldn't want to hire. Not everybody, but we're going to have some people like that. It's going to create economic impact in our community. We're trying to build our neighborhood up. It's called Uptown. It's been rebranded as that. I sit on the board of it's an innovation district. So I'm networking with business people regularly and knowing what's coming to the neighborhood and advocating against gentrification, pushing people out. And there's a lot of reasons I'm on that advisory board and working with business people. But the coffee shop also, it's going to create a sense of place in our community where people can meet. College students will be able to come there. Business people will be able to come and have meetings. People from the church, residents. It's just going to be, we look at it as like it's going to be this big gathering space. But then the cool part, revenue-wise, there's no owner of it. It's not like there's some owner that's making all this money off of it. It's going to be run by the church. And so we're going to use all the proceeds for it because it is going to be profitable. It's going to be a big space. We're going to sell great coffee. We're partnering with Buddy Brew as our roaster. They're well known in the city. We're going to have a drive-through. We're on the second highest car count street in the city. Fowler Avenue has over 70,000 cars that pass by every day.
Wow.
So, people figure out, hey, there's coffee here. It's coffee with a cause.
Right.
All the proceeds are going to go to Love Our City. So they're going to go directly back into the community. So, yeah, there is a few other coffee shops in the neighborhood. Well, one, really, I'm not going to say the name, but it's a commercial one, so you can probably guess.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people are going to say, man, I know my money if I go up to the coffee shop at Crossover,
right.
I know that's going to go back into the community.
It is.
I'm doing something good with my money.
Smart.
So we're planning on even having a screen. We're still working on the details. This is a vision.
Yeah.
A screen outside by the drive-through and one inside that shows the amount of money that we've donated back into the community.
That'd be good.
And it's going to be a ticker where it keeps going up.
Yeah.
I would love if we could figure out how to do it with every sale. So every time somebody has a sale, even on their receipt, say you spent, $9.41 today, but you just donated back, $2.84 into the community. That's powerful.
Right. And that's why you are who you are, because a lot of people don't understand that to run a church, it takes a business aspect, an intellect, and a certain type. Because you see certain mega churches, then you see smaller churches, then you see a church like yours that's outside the box and innovative and understanding that we're touching bases with everything that we have got going on in the community. Yeah. That's smart. And then it goes back to location. You put the coffee inside the church, 70,000 cars a day. Do the ratio, do the math. Like, people don't understand, like, that's business. That's an analyst to understand that, 70,000 cars a day, and I'm just going to guesstimate, you would get about 300 something cars, and you would get about 100 something sales, and add that up every day. Mm-hmm. Right? And then you got somebody telling somebody about it because the coffee is good because you teamed up with who?
Buddy Brew.
Buddy Brew.
You got to do things in excellence.
Yeah,
that's
right. Buddy
another
Brew.
Thing. Like,
I heard about Buddy Brew.
Some people here, the church is doing it. It's going to be poor quality.
Right.
Like, we're going to put on the best concerts. We're going to have the dopest artists.
Right.
We're going to have good coffee.
Right.
We're going to have good aesthetics.
Right.
Like,
everything.
That stuff is important.
I'm JR from Long Beach, California. Born and raised, now live in Sarasota, retired military. I'm a motivational speaker, and that's really big going on right now. And this content creator studio that Jen and Betsy has made is going to be very influential in the community and what's going on right now. Kids and everybody's going to join in with content and come here and leave. Just like the rappers have their studios, we have our studios now. I'm the #1 free agent motivational speaker. Catch you later.
Is important.
What's crazy is I was going through my next year's plan, and I always bet on myself, and that's why I love Pastor Tommy, because he betted on himself with moving to the location, betted on himself with the coffee shop, understanding the analytics it takes.
There was a lot of risks,
right?
Bro.
A lot of risks.
I'll tell you about that in a minute. Go ahead.
Right, and he took them risks, and now you're here, and now it's like, okay, what's next? And then I'm doing the same thing with my career now as motivational speaking, and I talk about a lot of platforms, but I also reached out to you to say, hey, Pastor Tom, which I didn't know you had that type of program. How much would it take for me to do X, Y, and Z at your location? And you pushed me to the right channel. And now God is saying, JR, bet on yourself. So now I'm waiting for numbers or quotes to come back. And safe to say, if I get it right, I'm going to do my tours there and bet on myself.
Yeah.
Because I can't wait for nobody else to endorse me or co-sign me. I got to do it myself because I have no time. And I want to be able to understand that, show that pivot and do it the right way, because everybody ain't going to approve. If you told your business plan to everybody in the city, would they approve of the coffee shop?
Yeah.
Would they approve the congregation, say, hey, not only are we moving locations, we're moving further down, and we're going to jump in a situation where you wasn't that big yet. So you grew. So you threw the tadpole in the ocean and became a frog. And I always say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because people are so scared to take that leap.
Yeah.
And I see you every day. I mean, every Sunday, if I'm not physical, I hear it and I see how you inspire and how you mentor and how you lead from the front. You're not telling the congregation what to do, you're doing it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna transition to that, because not only did you come on my show and give me a chance, you brought your new book. Can you tell us about your book and the shoes and everything that it has to that goes on to it?
Yeah. So I would say what I was saying before is you got to take some risks sometimes. If God calls you to do it, take some risk, bet the bag on yourself. For us moving in that building at the time was during the recession. It was crazy for us to move and sell our old property and try to raise money. First of all, it wasn't a good time to try to raise money. This is between 2008, 2010.
Oh, wow.
It was a tough, economy at that time. It was the toughest real estate market Florida has ever seen. And we sold our building during that time for the asking price. They didn't even try to talk us down. They paid the asking price. It was a miracle, right? So we got in the building, but we were still short, but God still provided. God provided. Not right away, but it was tough the first couple of years that we were in there, but we were paying off the construction debt, and we didn't expect that we were going to have any construction debt, but we had some, because projects always at the end are a little bit, But God proved himself again and again. And so I've learned that when you follow the voice of the Lord, when he leads you, that old saying you probably heard in church before, where God guides, he provides.
Yes.
But the twist on that is sometimes where God guides, he doesn't provide at first the way we think he would.
Right.
So what it does is it causes us to innovate. God's already put that in. So he really is providing, but not in the easy way we might have thought it would have been. He's causing us to innovate and do some different things. And then we're going to end up being 5 times farther ahead anyways, after we innovate and figure all this stuff out for the next move that's coming up. But yeah, man, so this is on my latest book called Gotta Be the Shoes.
Gotta Be the Shoes. Look at that.
And it's where sneaker culture meets faith. And so as a creative, I decided to put it in a custom shoe box.
Okay.
And so it even has we put the shoe size thing on the side and everything. And when you open it up, it actually has sneaker paper, cuts like you're getting a pair of shoes.
Yeah, like Nikes. Yeah.
And the book is full color inside as well. We have this is a hardback version. We have a hardback and a paperback. But we did a photo shoot with all these sneakerheads in the church, and they brought their best shoes. And so throughout the book, it has just all these pictures of shoes. But even if you're not into shoes, man, there's so much good stuff in it. It makes you critically think about your sweet spot, about your purpose, about your calling. Challenges us about materialism, about making things in our life an idol. There's a lot of stuff in the book that talks about finances and over leveraging and debt and overspending. Because sometimes when we get caught up in material things and shoes, purses, cars, jewelry, whatever, sometimes we can end up in a lot of debt.
Right. Definitely.
And then, it tackles a bunch of great topics, but it's creatively weaved in with sneakers and fashion kind of being, celebrated, and some history mixed in and statistics. And then there's a masterclass that goes along with each chapter as well. So that's part of it. You can tap in as well.
Wow.
And man, I'm so passionate about the message that we decided to do something crazy and actually give the book away.
Right.
So you could get the paperback version of the book for free.
Okay.
And the masterclass. And then I'm even throwing in my previous book, which is called Frames. It's about perspective. Your frames can change the game. And we're giving those 2 books away totally for free.
Okay.
The website is freeshoesbook.com. So remember, it's like freeshoesbook.com.
Okay.
That's where you can get those 2 books. And then if you want to get the hardback cover, full color, if you want to get the box, you can upgrade to that.
Okay.
But we are giving like legit the book away for free. We want to get it in people's hands.
Look at that.
And obviously, if
Gotta
you
be the shoes, baby.
if you know anybody that's into sneakers, which we all know at least 1 or 2 people that are into sneakers, a lot of us know dozens.
Yeah.
This can make like a great gift, and it comes in a really dope custom box, and the top of the box is actually the book cover. So shout out to my graphic designer. We went through
nice.
lots of reiterations. It was my vision, and then he kind of made it come to reality and to life. And then we made some customs. So these are some
Fresh.
Jordan 1s,
Fresh.
and on the 2 side panels, we actually put like the book cover in there in like a glossy vinyl. A guy from Crossover Church, shout out to my man Kurt, and then we got the Gotta Be the Shoes logo on the back.
Shout out to Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt did an incredible
Kurt is dope.
job.
Yeah,
with,
I speak to him on a basis, man.
Yeah.
He got skills, man. This is my first time seeing him in person too. This is so awesome too, because that also shows your business side. Like,
Yeah.
who would have thought of that?
Yeah.
Right. And we know, I see you right
Right away from the jump, I'm like, I got to do some customs. But here's the thing, like he does customs and so does Bethany. If you know Bethany from the church.
No, I don't. Yeah.
And she's another entrepreneur. But they were like, yeah, it takes about a week to do a pair, maybe a week and a half. And I'm just like, that's not scalable. I'm like, I want at least 50 to 100 pairs. Because I know like when I travel and go places, like, I'm gonna sell some of these to some people that are into shoes.
Yeah.
And so then Kurt came up with the idea, well, maybe we could get the graphic from your book and we could print it on something and maybe we could put that somewhere on the shoe. So then I came up with, okay, let's put it on the side panel of a Jordan 1. And you know, there's room on the back right there. Let's put the actual Gotta Be the Shoes,
fresh.
you know, branding right there. And if you see, the O is actually the bottom of a Jordan 1.
Oh,
see
wow.
it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
That's
like, so there's a lot of cool little Easter eggs in there as
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
But yeah, we've sold like several dozen of these already. People are definitely vibing with them. And you can get those on the website, freeshoesbook.com, if you want to upgrade
Can you
and
tell that to the camera?
get the customs as well. Yeah, freeshoesbook.com, where you could get these customs at, and some of the other stuff that's on there as well.
You ain't got these. You ain't got these right here. These are fresh, Pastor Tommy, man. And I love your business. Like just picking your brain, like this does me my soul good, because I'm an entrepreneur, but I don't even like to use that word no more. I just love business.
Yeah.
And even me failing in business, and I would say that you don't talk about your losses, but I know that you took a lot of losses to get to where you at right now. And you know, how do you define the success that you're doing right now, and what would you tell the youth, asking how you did it all, and how would you define all that?
Yeah, man, I'll say basically, man, it's a process. You don't get there in one day. And I think that's the danger of the culture that we're living in today, because you can make one video
Go viral.
and it could go viral like that, and suddenly now you got this internet fame,
Right.
And people go viral every day, and so, and then plus we just have a smartphone in our pocket.
Right.
We can just press a button and buy anything,
We're good, yeah.
and get anything we want.
Yep.
And so we're in this microwave mentality when a lot of times, like cooking up success and greatness, man, it's more like a crock pot, if you know what that is.
Right.
It's got to sit there and marinate and heat up, and it takes some time.
Right.
Like, yeah, you can have some fast success, but a lot of people that go viral and have a business that blows up, if you find them a year or two later, it imploded. Mm-hmm. And they didn't stay on that level. It was a quick peak, and then they didn't have the infrastructure or the experience or the knowledge or the tools to sustain it and continue to grow it.
That was my business.
And so, you know, we want to teach people how to be successful,
Right.
but we want to teach them how to have sustained success.
Yeah, consistent
Yeah.
success. And I see that with Crossover and with yourself. And, you know, I did my research on you and followed you through your music career, followed you through your spiritual career, through Crossovers, followed you through your entrepreneurship journey. You was the first person to tell me about the ERC, too, about my business. And it's great that you hit on what you hit on, because you have to go through all the mature phases of business.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you don't have the educational piece to sustain the business, it will fall. If you don't have the infrastructure, it will fall. If you don't have the finances. And my illusion I painted with my company, we were very, 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 very big, but I didn't have the expertise to maintain it.
Yeah.
Right. So you can put people in perspective to run your business, but you selected that carefully and they know how to understand how to push. If you was something to happen to you and you have to go away, Crossover will still run.
Yeah.
And
we have a lot of things in
going
place. I'm a unique individual.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be exactly the same.
Yes.
But we got the foundations on God.
Right.
It's you know, the infrastructure is there.
Right.
And it's the mission is there, and that's not going to change.
Definitely. Can we talk about your this is your Instagram right here, and you know, people following my page right now. I think it was one Sunday, Pastor Tommy told me he was a real good gym. He was like, "Yeah, I see what you're doing, JR, and I like it, but do personal videos, 30 seconds to a minute. Tell the world what you're thinking and put that out there." And that's all he told me. And I went home and I was like, I don't want to do this. I want people to come see me speak live.
We was at the Jerk Hut.
Yes, the Jerk
Having
Hut.
that conversation.
And from that day on, I start putting out personal videos, and my viewings, my likes, my followers grew substantially because I have a message. And I want to tell you, that was little. And kids, I would tell you, a mentor is not going to find you. You got to find your mentor. And I'm 42, Pastor Tommy just turned 50. And I found my mentor. And he didn't even know he was mentoring me. But every time he told me something, I would write it down in my head, or I have a photographic memory, so I take it. You don't see me for a couple of Sundays. I'm putting it to work. And then I think a couple of months after that, you came to me and you told me, good job. He didn't say too much. He's like, I see what you're doing. Good job.
Yeah.
And it was.
I texted you. I'm like, hey, man.
Yeah, I see what you got.
I see your reels, man.
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah.
more reels now. And
There
you're
it
talking
is.
to the camera. You're giving some gems, and it's growing.
Yeah, let's pull up one of Pastor Tommy's reels real quick, so we can see what I was talking about. We have value.
I'm actually going to ask you to pray for me as well.
This one has 85,000 views.
Miracle for you today. Do you need a miracle? I do. I'm actually going to ask you to pray for me as well. I'm about to do a big presentation in a few minutes, and I need God's help. I need a miracle. We can't do things on our own. But let me remind you, we've all seen some miracles before. And if God did it before, he can do it again. So let's talk to God. Heavenly Father, we come before you today. I pray for my brothers and sisters out there that are watching this today that maybe need a miracle in their life. You know exactly what that might be right now. And we know that you don't always do everything that we want or in the timing that we want. But we know that your way is greater than ours. But we know that you can still do miracles, just like you did in the scripture. And we see those things happen on a regular basis. And so, God, we trust you, trust your timing, and trust your will. I pray for some supernatural miracles for my brothers and sisters, and be with me today as well. In Jesus' name. Everybody type in the comments, amen. And I'll let you know how my miracle goes. Let me know how your day goes. God bless you guys.
So that
I'm gonna pray for a
reel,
miracle for you today.
That-
Do you need a miracle?
that reel actually, it had 80. I think it's up to
85,000.
85,000 actual likes and over 25,000 amens and comments, and I think it's up over 500,000 views. And that was the first video I did that went like really viral.
Right.
You know, I did several before that, did thousands and thousands, but not like 500,000.
Right.
And the crazy thing is, all those people were praying for me as well. And I don't think I've ever shared this yet publicly, but that presentation that I went to go do, I did share about it, but not connected with the video, because there's thousands of people praying for me.
Right.
Man, I won second place in the pitch competition.
Wow.
and won $20,000.
Look at that.
That is going to Flavor Fest for our tour in 2024. So it was the seed money for next year for us to go back to Long Beach, go to New York City. We're going to Chicago next year, going to Houston. And so,
Putting that work in.
So yeah, social media can be a great tool. I put some clips from sermons. I put a little clip. Gabbano was at Crossover yesterday.
Okay.
A little clip of me and him talking. You know, this
I would
is
love to get him on the podcast too to talk to him. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I seen it, I immediately forgave her. One, because I know if I'd have just let it linger and pondered on it in the heart of my heart, then one thing could have led to another. So, you know, I just immediately just forgave her and gave it to God.
That's good, man. That's good.
I like it, man. You know, what's crazy is that, you know, I mentor a lot of YouTubers and a lot of kids, and I coach them and I talk to them from a standpoint of me being in business. And I will tell kids, and I would tell anybody, any entrepreneur, like when the YouTube first started and social media platform, people were going out creating content. And guys like us, we don't need to create it. We need to document our life. That's your
document what
life.
we're doing.
That's your life. Like you pray for, that's who you are. So when I see your page, you showed me how to document who I am. I fight, I shoot, I pray, I talk.
Yeah.
I do all these things. Show my life. You're not just subjective to one thing. You do a lot, Pastor Tommy, and a lot of things people don't even know you do. And now to hear you on air and you're telling people all your business intellect, like it's amazing because you're touching a lot of platforms organically behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You sitting on boards, you feeding the city. You're doing my podcast. You preaching.
Yeah.
You write. How many books you have? Like 5?
This is number 7 actually.
Right. So I have 2 already. So I need to get this one right here. But like you, the one even set me up with my author. I don't know if he's the same book.
Peter, yeah, he helps with some
Shout
of my
out to
stuff.
Pete, man.
He did my editing. His company did my editing. They set me up on Barnes and Nobles and Amazon and helped with some of the behind the scenes stuff like that. So yeah, Peter Lopez, shout out to him and Publify Press. He's a blessing.
Yeah, Pastor Tommy set me up with my first book, and I worked on it for a little bit, but I ran out of money. So next year, I'm going to pump some more money into it. He gave me a quote, and I'll be putting out my first book next year. And Pastor Tommy gave me that alley-oop. So thanks, Pete. I appreciate it. And, you know, you inspired me to write my book and document my life. I'm not making no fabrication of content. This is who I am. This is what I believe in, and this is what I stand on. And I'm happy that you're standing on it. And people use the term now, stand on business. That's what you're doing right now, and I appreciate it, man. Anything you want to tell the youth, because I like to mentor to the youth. Adults, you guys, you know, you tune in, you listen, but I like to save the youth. Anything you want to tell the youth real quick?
Yeah. I'll say this to you guys out there. God has a customized plan for you. Just like I got these custom J's. I think a lot of times young people and just people out there that aren't connected to church can feel like, man, if I start going to church and follow God, then I got to change the way I look and everything about me, and I can't really be me. And, you know, because a lot of times we haven't seen a customized Christian that is really being authentically them. That's the way I felt. I was a little hesitant to fully give my life to God back when I was an older teenager, because I grew up in church and I saw the way all the old people looked. And I'm like, man, I gotta start wearing button downs and khaki pants and some hard bottom shoes and listen to old school gospel choir music. Man, I like something with a little bass in it, you know?
Yeah.
But God soon revealed to me, like, no, you can still be you. He took away the sinful stuff out of me. I knew that was gonna leave. But the other parts of me, there's a lot of neutral things about fashion and culture. And so the ways that God has designed you and some of the passions in your experience, you could still be you. He customizes you, and he's going to make an even better version of you when you fully submit your life to him. And you have peace, you have contentment, and every day is like an adventure. It's a journey. Every day there's new things happening in my life because I'm in the lane where God has me to be. And so, man, tap into your creator.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's going to help your creativity soar.
Right. And if you guys are in the city of Tampa or surrounding cities, 'cause I live in Sarasota, and you don't have a church home, tap in with Crossover. Not because Pastor Tommy's sitting next to me. I believe in it, and I'm on the bandwagon. I'm part of the team. I'm one of his hidden disciples. I do what I have to do. He knows any type of day if he know what time it is. Like that type of work I do. But I want to say to the kids, man, stop begging for the support and go for the people who are supporting you. And Pastor Tommy, I don't want to get emotional, but I appreciate you just even saying, like, we were supposed to do this 3 or 4 times already, but you agreeing to it and you popping out. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people,
and we filming this late at night, by the way.
It's midnight,
It's
and
midnight right
we
now.
filming it.
I love you, bro.
Yes, and he's supposed to be asleep because he got to get his energy to
I'm an
minister
artist.
to everything else.
I
So
usually go to bed around this time.
I
Maybe.
appreciate it,
Yeah.
man. And I believe you're one of my biggest supporters, and I believe that you're giving me all the tools to succeed. A lot of people pray for a new car or $1 million or a nice house, but they never go get it. I feel that you're giving me everything I need, but you're making me work for it that makes it last longer and appreciate it. Because I can tell you I could do 1,000 things, but me showing you, you've been around the world like me. I'm not too impressed. But to have you sitting next to me and you give me guidance and you put me on to Peter to get my book done and you put me on to the ERC and you didn't have to do none of that. You don't know me because I'm pretty sure people like you're very keen on picking up who's right and who's wrong. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that you feeling my spirit and my energy out, and I come from a good space. I'm not like the rest of the PKs. I just, I am who I am. I love the Lord. I love God. Yeah. I love my Father. I care for you, and I love you, and I care for Crossover, and I appreciate you, and thank you for popping out.
Definitely, man.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm a connector.
Yes.
Anytime I can help somebody connect with, first of all, their creator,
Right.
And their purpose,
Right.
but then with other things that fits in with what they're doing, man, I want to help people win.
Right, thank you. And you've been helping me win. And last year, 2023 was a pivotal year for me, and I pivoted to speaking nationally around the world, and you endorsed it and in the door that you're opening for me next year to put my vision out. And I appreciate it because you could have took it in your vision and made it big and said nobody else is coming through this portal. You're letting a lot of entrepreneurs come through your portal, so I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So there we have it, man. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for just tuning in and having Pastor Tommy. If you don't know, tap into
freeshoesbook.com
to get you some free shoes, get you the book, read it. If you don't like to read, it's on audio. I'm gonna buy my book probably next week, and then I'm gonna get me how much are the shoes?
The shoes are $297.
$297. So I'm gonna get me a pair of these because I need these because I think that I'm gonna put them in my Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna wear them. I'm gonna put them in a glass box and have them in the house like that because this is special to me. Because when you say it gotta be the shoes, my journey started in 2023 with Crossover. I will finally get to lace up a pair of my shoes and finally get to walk on my mission and be supportive to what I got going on and let God use my voice and my tool as motivational and motivating youth and coaching and mentoring and letting my story be known. So thank you, Pastor Tommy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
God bless you,
Appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you. And we out. Thank you, guys.
They're mad 'cause he told the truth. That's why they mad. They're mad 'cause he wanna be you.